Hey guys, so today I am doing a tutorial, first of all, using the new Urban Decay Naked Heat eyeshadow palette, and then after that, stay tuned and I have a review after the tutorial on how much I like the palette, which right now I am obsessed with it, just a teaser. So I am starting out with a fluffy crease brush and the shade Sauced, and I am using that as my transition color, putting that all over my crease, just a little bit onto the lid, and this will help the other shadows that we have blend nicely. Next, on a denser crease brush, I am taking He Devil and Low Blow mixed together. And the crease brush that I'm using is a Morphe, I don't remember the number, but it's a goat hair crease brush. And I like this one better than the fluffier one for doing crease definition because it is a little more thick and it picks up more product. The next shade that I'm going in with is Cayenne, and I'm using a kind of smaller pointed crease brush in order to get more into the crease of my eye and have more color definition on the outside of my eye versus the inside of my eye. And then I'm going back in with that goat hair brush from Morphe and just blending it all together so that there's no harsh lines. After that, I am taking the darkest shade in the palette and that pointed crease brush again and taking the shade Ashes and working that right into my crease, making sure to stay away from the inner corner of my eye. To make this look a little bit different and to add a little bit of technique to it, I am taking MAC Pro Longwear Pigment in the shade NW20, which is just the concealer I use, and a flat synthetic brush, and I'm basically going to cut my lid off in color from the rest of my eye. So I'm blanking out all the color that I previously had on my lid from the eyeshadows, just whatever is kind of falling down from my blending, and putting concealer over that in order to have a blank canvas. The reason that I'm cutting my lid in this tutorial is just so that it can kind of stand out and the white shade that I'm going to put on my lid will really pop. And so from the Naked Heat palette, I'm taking Ounce, which is the very lightly shimmery white shade, and patting that all over my lid after I put the concealer on. I'm now taking my pointed crease brush again and Ashes and redefining my crease, making sure that it is dark because the concealer had covered it a little bit. And then I'm taking Cayenne and Low Blow on a pointed bottom lash brush or whatever and putting those on my bottom lash line. Next, for a cool effect, I'm taking Urban Decay Heavy Middle Glitter Liner in the shade Midnight Cowboy, and I'm going to run that just on my crease so that you have that pop of glitter when you close your eye, and it's not too over the top. I mean, I would wear this to work, which I think I did wear this to work. So it kind of makes it look a little bit more wearable with having glitter in it. So that completes this eye look for this tutorial. The lipstick that I'm wearing in this is Urban Decay Double Team lipstick, and then I topped it with a little bit of Anastasia Beverly Hills Vintage lip gloss, I believe. And stay tuned for my review on this palette, and I can talk your head off. Thanks for watching.
Hello! So please excuse the difference in this video from now to when I'm filming this tutorial. I worked today, so I filmed the tutorial in the morning before I went to work, and then now is after where I can share my review. Also, please excuse this disgusting mess. I had my hair in a bun all day, so it's doing its own thing right now. So anyways, today's video I am doing my review of the Urban Decay Naked Heat palette. I was gonna do a first impressions, but I feel like full reviews after you get to try the palette for a while are a little bit more useful because I've had some time with it. I know what kind of looks they like to do with it. I know how like each color performs, whereas if like first impressions, you only really use like 4 colors or more, but you probably don't get to use all the colors that are in the palette for first impressions. So I decided to do a review on it. This is after I've had a couple weeks with it. I've had it for about 3 weeks. So here's my review. So the packaging is absolutely gorgeous, as with all Urban Decay packaging is. As a beauty person, my personal favorite brand is Urban Decay. It has been since I was like 15, 16 when I got my first like Urban Decay palette, which I have still. It's like this bamboo palette. Anyways, off topic. Their packaging is just killer, and they've been one of my favorite brands because they're always so innovative. I feel as if in the past couple years, Urban Decay has kind of followed the boat a little bit. Their just innovation hasn't been super out there. I mean, the electric palette was the last, I think, big thing that was like, yes, like we needed this, we needed a colorful palette. But I feel like ever since they started the Naked train, which again, they did start, they've kind of just followed it, and it's like we've had so many Naked palettes. So when I first saw this, I was like I don't need another one. I have Naked 1, 2, 3. I did not get the Naked Smoky because it just didn't appeal to me. And to be honest, all the 3 Naked palettes I just don't use. Naked 1 is probably my favorite out of the 3 that I do have, not including the Naked, because it just is so versatile. Naked 3 I use the least. Such a difference in the shadow formulas. Anyways, this isn't a review on those 3, just letting you know my kind of background on the Naked train. I don't know, I have 3. It's basically what I'm trying to say. But when this came out, I was kind of like, oh, like I don't need it. It's a warm tone palette. I have the ABH Modern Renaissance. I have the Kat Von D Shade Light with warm tones. I have like a MAC palette that I started, which is in one of my previous videos, which I have warm tone shadows in there. So I didn't think I needed this. But after I saw like the shades, I just blown away. So I picked this up when it had like a launch date in stores, but it wasn't officially in stores. So I was like, I called my store, I was like, do you have it? They're like, yeah. I was like, can you put it on hold? They're like, no, we can't, 'cause it's only even for a day. So I was like, okay, I'm going here now. So I went, grabbed it, moral of the story. It is gorgeous, as is all Urban Decay packaging. I feel like this palette in particular though is probably my favorite packaging. So it comes in this little box, roses, matches, super cute. This, oh, it's just like, it's so sturdy. You could like drop this in the airport in your suitcase and it would not break. It has like 2 layers, which is so pretty. And need some caffeine. This is what it looks like inside. So it looks very basic. It looks like a basic warm toned shadow palette, which it is. What really stood out to me was the matte shade. There's gorgeous warm toned matte shades, which is hard to find in palettes these days. The shimmers in this palette also are great, but with the warm matte, these are like amazing. They blend so well, they're not choppy at all. The shimmers in this palette in particular, I find probably the best out of the Naked palettes. The past ones that they've had, the shimmers suck. Like, to be honest, I don't use them. I go into another palette or something else for a shimmer because I know that I'm not gonna get the pigmentation that I want from that one Naked palette. But this one, I don't need to go into another palette. It's great. My only kind of blip is that it has 4 like shimmer shades, and there's no really like shimmery champagne shade. So that's my only blip of the palette, because I tend to use that, a champagne shimmery shade, see that 10 times fast, on my lid when I do looks. But other than that, I'm not missing anything. This shade right here, Ounce, is a frosty shimmery shade, but it's not as shimmery as the other ones in the palette, so I wouldn't consider it as like a champagne shade. However, I did use it on my lid today, which you will see in the tutorial, or you have already seen in the tutorial. Anyways, so overall review on this palette, it is beautiful. I would highly recommend it. The warm tone mattes just are what sets us apart. My only other kind of thing is that the shade Sauced, which is right here, as you can see, that looks very cool toned, which is great for a transition shade for my skin tone. I am NW, some neutral warm, so I have blue and pink tones under my skin. But this shade, it's weird because it looks like neutral in the palette, and then when you put it on your eyes, it is very warm. It has red and orange undertones to it, which is fine, but for a base transition shade, I would prefer to have something that is more on the neutral side, so not cool, not warm. This one is a little bit red for me, so when I do use it as a transition shade, it just kind of stands out more. You'll see, or have seen in the tutorial, that when I first have it on, it does show up quite bright on my skin tone. It does show up quite bright on my skin tone, whereas if I want a transition shade, I don't really care / want it to show up very bright. Because it's going to be covered by shadows, it is basically just there as a blending shade to start the look off. It's not there to make a statement on my eye. So sauced, that is just one of the things that kind of stood out to me about the palette. Some people might like that. If you are a warmer skin tone, then it won't make a difference on your skin tone, but this did show up quite orange on my eyes, which, as I said, transition shades, I want to have a neutral color. Other than that, I mean, I'd say it'd be nice to have a black in the palette, but I'm not really missing a black. The shade Ashes right here is quite dark. It's not a black by any means, so if you're looking for a black, don't use this. But for a look, if you want as an outer V crease shade, this works well. I don't need a black with this, because sometimes when you're doing your crease and you use black, it can look a little harsh, but I feel like the shade Ashes blends well with the other shades I have in here when I'm using it on my other crease. That is my kind of review on the palette. My favorite shades in here probably are He Devil, which is right here, kind of a mid-toned rust shade. Low Blow, On Fuego, that one's quite nice. And then which one is it? Lumber. This one is very reminiscent of MAC Rose Pigment to me. It kind of has like a copper pinkish look to it. So that one is gorgeous as a lid color if you don't have MAC Rose Pigment, which is one of like their best. I love that color. Lumber is great as well. If I had to recommend this, hell yeah. If you want to add to your collection and you want a good warm tone palette that you literally don't need to reach for any other shadows with, grab the Urban Decay Naked Heat. It is great, but for the past like 3 weeks, that's what I've been using, and that's what I've been loving, as you can see on my Instagram. So thanks for watching. I'm sorry it took so long to film another tutorial. I am a student and I do work full time, so YouTube is kind of my pastime, but I am hopefully gonna film another tutorial or something soon. We'll see when I get my camera out. Anyways, thanks for watching, guys.